When I say the word emotion, what comes up for you? Do you feel connected? Do you feel kind of icky and gross? Or maybe you resist the idea of emotions, or maybe you're confused and you don't really know how we're supposed to express our emotions. We don't know how they're supposed to connect. A lot of us are disconnected from our emotions. Sometimes we tend to think of the word emotion and connect it with emotional and think emotional people are being controlled by their emotions, that it's not good to be emotional. And I want to tell you that I've found as a leader, being connected to your emotions, being able to express your emotions, is actually a sign of a healthy leader. Not being controlled by our emotions, but being able to experience them, being able to lean into them, being able to feel. Because we were created to be emotional beings. God created us with emotions. We can even see God Himself experiencing emotions. When God experiences anger, we see that in the Old Testament towards the Israelite people or towards those who are sinning. We see that we're told to fear God and not fear man, that there's this element of fear that is there. We see Jesus expressing anger as He drove salespeople out of the temple. We see Him expressing sadness when His friend Lazarus died. And so I want to challenge you, if you feel like emotions are bad, or there's some emotions that are right and some that are wrong, some that are positive, some that are negative, that you challenge your thinking on this. Because, at least in my opinion, if we see Jesus and we see God expressing and experiencing these emotions, then they can't be inherently bad. It's maybe more of how we express those, how we feel those, how we allow ourselves to experience those, that could be good or bad, ideal or non-ideal. And so I want to challenge you first of your idea of emotions, that emotions are a good thing, that expressing our emotions is something given to us by God. And I would say God gave us emotions for a couple of reasons. The first is so that we can experience life. We can experience life to the greatest degree, that we can experience joy, we can experience love, we can experience tenderness, connectedness, even sadness and anger and fear, that those emotions are there to allow us to experience life to its fullest. The second reason that I believe that we are given emotions is so that we can connect with others. When we are able to experience our emotions, we're able to express, to feel, to be with our emotions. It allows us to be with other people to a greater degree. When we can both experience something joyful together, it brings connection. When we are experiencing something sad together, that also brings connection. When I'm comfortable with a particular emotion, it allows me to experience that emotion with somebody else. When I learned personally how to express sadness, it now allows me to sit with other people in their sadness, to be able to make that connection with them, to show care, to show love. The other reason that I believe that we are given emotions is to create, that there's this creative force that comes as we can experience our emotions. When we can live in joy, we can express our creativity with openness. When we can be in anger, it allows us to set boundaries. It allows us to maybe set goals. There's some part of anger that allows us to tap into this injustice, or tap into making a wrong right, or doing something productive in the world. That sometimes we can get angry with a particular situation, and it allows us to create an answer. It allows us to come up with some way to respond. Now, if you're somebody who is already saying, I hear you, but I think you might be wrong. There are good and there are bad emotions. Or maybe you say, I don't know how to express emotions. I want to go back to a little kid. When we see a little kid, maybe in a grocery store, And we can see that they experience a whole myriad of different emotions when they're throwing a temper tantrum in the grocery aisle to the point where they're totally happy and content by the time you get to the checkout counter, right? There's this experience and this flow of emotions that they can have. Most of us, growing up, when we were really young, we had the ability to express emotions. We had the ability to experience our emotions to a greater degree. And through life and experience and what other people have told us, we start to put these thresholds on our emotions of what is right or wrong, good or bad. Whether it's our parents or our culture or our teachers or whatever else, we start to internalize this idea that we aren't supposed to express certain things. Maybe for me, one of them was anger, where I had a couple of experiences in my childhood that led me to believe that anger is bad. I expressed anger in an unhealthy way. I was just a kid. I didn't know how to express anger. And in my house, there wasn't a lot of teaching or understanding on how do you express your emotions in a healthy way. And so as a 5-year-old, I expressed anger in a very unhealthy way. And when my dad disciplined me for that, I understood as a 5-year-old that I'm not supposed to express anger. That when I express anger, dad gets upset, there's disconnection, I shouldn't express anger. And so I shut anger off. Around the time that I was 10 years old, we moved to Haiti as full-time missionaries. And as a kid, I had a deep sense of compassion. I still do as an adult. I just was disconnected from it for many years because when I was in Haiti, I saw the level of poverty and experienced people in great need. And I didn't know how to process that as a 10-year-old. And so I shut off compassion. I shut off sadness so as not to feel those different emotions. I'm sure you have emotions that you've shut off, maybe even joy or happiness when somebody told you you're too much and you interpreted that as I shouldn't express so much joy or happiness or whatever else because I don't want to be too much. I don't want people to judge me for that. And so if you're somebody who, like me, has brought thresholds on your emotions, maybe disconnected from your emotions, you repress your emotions, I want to challenge you to learn how to express those emotions in a healthy way. Because when we repress or bottle up our emotions, they will eventually come out. They're either going to come out explosively, maybe in a fit of rage, or maybe it's, for me, it was every 5 to 6 years, I would just spend a day just bawling because my sadness had finally bottled up to the point where I just couldn't hold it in anymore. And then I would go another 5 or 6 years with not expressing much sadness at all. So it can come out explosively in a way where we really aren't in control of it because we haven't been expressing it in a healthy, intentional way. The second way that emotions tend to come out is physiologically. They will come out one way or another. So it can be explosive or it can be physiologically. Might come out in gut issues, phantom pains, might come out in headaches, migraines, right? When we store up all that energy in our body, we continue to bottle it all up. It comes out in all these unhealthy ways, physically unhealthy ways. Sometimes it comes out in brain fog where we have so much that we're holding down, we're trying to repress, that it starts to get to the point where we're having trouble even thinking clearly. And so I want to challenge you if you're disconnected from your emotions, if you have random things happening in your body that you can't explain. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a medical professional, but in my experience, I've found that a lot of those things happening in your body, acid reflux, all those other things, some of them can be rooted in the idea that we are repressing those emotions, we're bottling them up. And so if you get stuck in knowing how to express your emotions, this is something you struggle with and you're wanting to learn how to do this more, you're wanting to experience your emotions in a healthy way, know how to express them in a healthy way so that you can be the healthiest leader that you can be, then just let me know in the comments, or you can message me, you can email email me at info@legacyleadershipsystems.com. Let me know where you're at. I'd love to have a strategy call with you, give you some insight into some things that I do with leaders to help walk them through healthy emotional expression and reconnecting to their emotions in healthy ways. If you're watching this, again, like, subscribe to my channel. I have two main categories that I help people out in, really coming alongside nonprofit ministry leaders, is how do you be a healthy leader and how do you run a stable organization? Healthy leaders, stable organizations. I believe that both are necessary. Without a stable organization, it's hard to be a healthy leader. And without a healthy leader, it's hard to have a stable organization. You need to have both pieces married to really have the stability in your life, to really leave the lasting legacy that you want to leave, and to do it without sacrificing yourself or your family or the things that matter to you. So again, like and subscribe and follow more videos. And I'm looking forward to hearing from some of you on how I can help serve you in this area of your emotions.